I'm trying. I'm trying. This is I don't know if I'm here yet or not. I was gonna run things, but I need to search for one more thing because the tech, all of the tech, all of the tech has just decided to attack me at 7 o'clock. Normally I have a different computer, but no, that computer updated and then it didn't recognize my mouse or my other monitor or anything like that. So then I had to switch back to another computer. It's been crazy. I do have the documents. It's just going to take me a minute. I'm gonna try and get the intro running in a moment, but I have an ad blocker somewhere on this computer that I need to turn off, I guess, or something. I don't know. Let me try running this one more time. Let's see if it blocks it again. If it blocks the intro, then we're just gonna roll and bear with me while I get my documents in order because streaming is dynamic, live shows are dynamic, and this has been one welcome back from vacation. How are you? How's everybody doing? Let me know where you're coming in from, what you're sipping on this evening. I have here, I have my lawyer up because we're talking lawsuits tonight, and this one, it's an interesting one. So let me try and at least run the intro, and then that'll give me a breath, and we'll see if we can come back to it. And you guys can just live with me trying to pull up my documents as we go because it was supposed to be on a different computer. That is not what I needed, Google. No, I need the chat. I need the chat to move. Okay. Chat, send me all the good tech vibes at the moment because wowza. All right, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if it will actually play this time. StreamYard, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know. Let's see if I can roll the intro. Let's see if that'll work. Welcome to Bark a Lot with the Aurora H. White. Nope, nope, that's not working. All right, I need to find a setting somewhere. Oh, hi guys. How are you? How's everything going? Where This is not fun. This is the not fun part of this. All right, hang on. Um what do I settings. Let's try settings. Let's see. Let's see where we're at. Okay. That's not helpful. That is not helpful. Okay. Well, I guess we're just doing this. I cannot figure out how to make this work. So, and I can't even see anybody right now because that's a thing. Where Oh, hi guys. This is probably not fun. Tech fighting with tech is well, while I'm fighting with tech, let me tell you a little bit about my vacation. Cuz you guys have been great. I took a couple weeks off so that I could go visit my best friend and watch her kid graduate, and I'm super, super happy with that. It was lovely. Um, it was sorry, I'm literally trying to find help for how to make this happen. Uh, there, let's try that. Let's try that. Um, I'm learning in real time, guys. That's what's happening here. Um, w sorry, I'm trying to follow instructions and mm, 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 mm. Oh, I don't I I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. Yeah, I want that. Everybody's trying to make this super secure, which is great. But not when you're a streamer and suddenly everything is wrong. Aha, there we are. You know, we're gonna do that. We're gonna see if that works. Let's see. Let's try this one more time. Will this Welcome to Bark a Lot with the Aurora H. White. I'm a legal biller by trade, opinionated law and politics nerd by default. I'm here to break down the political, pop culture, and court headlines that we're all talking about. We value facts, thoughtful discussion, and salty language, so whether you're a fellow law nerd, I guess we're not doing the intro. I guess we're not doing the intro today. I don't know what's going to work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do any of this. I have no idea because everything is wrong. Because I don't know. I don't know. All right. Well, let's see if we can just dive into the show. Because I can't make anything work. Okay. Hi. Um Well, let me see. Let's see. We have mom coming in. Hey, that's a thing that worked. That is a thing that worked. Woohoo! We're gonna take the win where we get the win. Okay. Mom's coming in with hot chocolate because it was summer for a second, but not today. Tech sucks. Yeah. Yeah, everything. Of course, it would be helpful if maybe I had I don't know, opened the computer before 7:10 at night. That probably would have been helpful. Okay. Well, if you're new here, first of all, I do have an intro, so that helps. Second of all, so I'm I do have an intro. Basically, hi, I'm Aurora. I am a law nerd. I And when I say that, yes, I'm referencing Emily D. Baker's channel. I am a law nerd. I hang out there, and that's what leads us to tonight's show. I also love politics, and oh my god, we will get back to the main politics of it all soon because that is going completely haywire and insane. So we will get back to that shortly. We've got a primary coming up. I did see, you know what? I can just, you know what, guys, we're gonna blame the tech on the what was it, 3-foot meteor that dropped in the ocean in Massachusetts earlier this afternoon. Apparently that happened. So if you are not like me and we're not chronically online today following the internet discourse of tonight's topic, you may have missed that there was a large meteor that just scared everybody. Everybody thought it was an explosion, apparently in Massachusetts, and that we can confirm that it was a meteor. So that's a thing that happens. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a meteor. A meteor. Um so yeah, that may or so I'm gonna blame the fact that space is trying to come for us on all of my tech issues tonight. Besides, I mean, would it really have been a vacation if I came back and everything was totally hunky dory? No, no. Where's the fun in that? So With all of that, what are we talking about tonight? Well, Aurora, I have show notes and I can, in fact, find them. Yes, show notes. Yay, show notes. Okay. So, um, here's the thing. If you are new here, you may or may not know that I like facts and I like documents. And I spend way too much time with way too many attorneys for me to just take these statements at face value. So I'm enough of a nerd that what did I do last night when I saw the Patagonia filed the lawsuit against drag queen Pattie Gonia? I went and found the document because I knew that what was going to happen is that the internet was going to wild out and everybody was going to end up on one side or another and everybody was going to be sniping at each other. And that is exactly what I've watched play out today. So that you know where I'm starting from, I am predisposed to look side eye when multi-billion dollar corporations come for a creator, an influencer, somebody that could potentially cut into their brand a bit, but maybe not by that much. Size of influencer, size of creator is important. That is something to note. But I am somebody that I want to find the actual document. Now, if you are not a law nerd and you just follow law things through me, here's the thing. I am not an attorney, so none of this is going to be legal advice. However, I follow a lot of attorneys on YouTube and I trust what they have to say. Amongst those things is legality and morality, particularly when we get into trademark and copyright law, are not always the same thing. In fact, quite often, they are diametrically opposed to each other. So we're going to keep that in mind as we go through the document, which I'm going to try and pull up in just a moment. I guess we have no swoops tonight, so that. But yeah, so we are going to pull up the actual complaint. Again, if you're not hanging in the same circles as I am, if you hear me say this is allegations and shade, that is basically what a complaint is. It is the court has to take these allegations in the light most favorable to the plaintiff. The plaintiff in this case being Patagonia, the clothing company. You did not need that in your ears. I apologize, chat. Came out of nowhere. So that is so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pull up the document. I'm going to try and explain things as I understand them as we go through. And you know what? We are all going to hope that one of the creators that I know and love also picks this up because this is going to be very this is going to get who's in the who's right, who's wrong. This may need a fine-tooth comb when it comes to the legal of it all. That's the reality here. Patagonia, the clothing company, may have a case. However, I skimmed the complaint last night, and I'm not entirely sure that they do, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm just not sure. All right, let me see. Let me see if I can find the link. That's what I'm doing now. So, chat, while I'm trying to find the link, let me know if you are coming in on a side while I'm working on getting this pulled up. Let me know if you have looked at the complaint, if you haven't looked at the complaint, or if you have just been following this online. So I think I have it. We just have to figure out. Yeah, I know it's easiest with two monitors. Share screen. Oh, you know what? It is going to be easier if I bring it all the way over here. No, that's not quite what I wanted to do. Is it? Maybe it is. None of those things work, so let's go with this. All right. The tech is teching so hard today. Good grief. Okay, let's try this again. Share screen. Not that one. That one. Yes. Hey, something worked. What do you know? What do you say? What do you say? What do you know? I need this to go away. There you go. That goes away. Let me. I'm almost there. There we go. There we go. Sure. Not quite what I wanted. Nope. Nope. We'll go back to that. There, I don't cut too much off there. Why did this get small? That's better. Not quite. Whew. Everything on my end just shrunk. Just shrunk itty bitty bitty. So when I'm looking over to the side, it's because I need to be able to read the document as we go through this, guys. All right, let's see. Leah coming in with just following videos, lots of chat about the donation sticker she is giving out. There's been a lot of chat. There's been a lot of calls to boycott Patagonia, the clothing company. There's been a lot of it. So, all right. Now that tech has all jumbled everything, let us swoop here. Am I ever going to drop that in? No, this is where it gets funny if you say you fix it in post, because there is no post because it's live. All right. So here we have the actual complaint. This is the lawsuit that was filed as of last night. I did check the California docket. Props to California, by the way, for making the docket easy for a non-lawyer to find a case. Chef's kiss. Thank you. Massachusetts makes it, well, kind of like they make our roads. You have to already know where you're going. But California made it super easy because I wanted to see if there was an official legal reply, right? Because here's how, in Biggin, Aurora, in Biggin for a minute. Okay, so here's how this goes. Plaintiff files suit. Suit gets, people in suit get served. Lawyers, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. This is my memory. So the defendant in the case gets sued, and then pretty much you get attorneys to try and talk things out so that you don't have to go to court. It would seem that between January and now, those talks didn't go anywhere really. And so with that, here we are. Patagonia, the clothing company, put out a statement. For the rest of the show, I'm going to call it Patagonia, meaning the clothing company, or Pattie, meaning drag queen. That's how I'm differentiating at the moment because it's too difficult for me to split it up. I mean, it's not that hard, but it gets confusing after a while. So, what we are going to read here is Patagonia's lawsuit against Pattie. It's been filed. It's sat going between attorneys for a bit, and then Patagonia released a statement that basically said, "Oh, we're a big company and we tried really hard to get this out, to fix this, and she didn't come to the table." Followed by Pattie's 6-minute video, which I did see yesterday, that said, this is all made up. This is not accurate. This is not what happened at all. So now we have two sides. We have nobody backing down. Hence, in the news. With that, let us go to the actual complaint. This is what Patagonia is claiming. That this is them. This is from their perspective. This is how they're rolling on this. Alan Yates, a noble spirit embiggens the smallest man. Yes. Yes. All right. So we're going to get comfortable. It's only 37 pages. We're going to read through this and we're going to talk it out. So this is Patagonia Inc. They are the plaintiff versus Entrepreneur Enterprises Inc. DBA Pattie Gonia Productions and Win Wiley. Win Wiley is Pattie Gonia. Also, by the way, objectively great name. Like the drag name, awesome. Your actual name, Win, good name. I'm a fan. So, introduction. Plaintiff Patagonia brings this action against Entrepreneur Enterprises, DBA Pattie Gonia Productions, and its owner, Win Wiley, collectively Pattie Gonia, or defendants, in response to defendants' recent trademark application claiming the exclusive right to the brand Pattie Gonia for, among other things, apparel, online marketing services, promoting public awareness of and motivational speaking services in support of environmental sustainability and LGBTQIA2S plus equality, organizing community sporting and cultural events, organizing, arranging, and conducting trail and hiking events, entertainment services in the nature of live musical performances and music recordings. These products and services compete directly with the products and advocacy upon which Patagonia built its Patagonia brand over the last 53 years. I already have questions about that because I already have questions. We are at the very, very beginning, and I have questions. I want to see more information. I want to see the trademark application. I want to see what the actual issue is, because that I have not been able to find yet. The trademark application reflects Patagonia's departure from discrete use of a persona to engage in activism and confirms defendants' intent instead to launch a wide-ranging commercial enterprise under the Pattie Gonia brand. This enterprise contradicts defendants' prior promises and appropriates Patagonia's brand and identity in a way that has already confused consumers and will continue to confuse consumers about Patagonia's role in producing or sponsoring Patagonia's products, events, and public appearances. Basically, they're saying that the things that Pattie wants to do is going to confuse people, and they're going to think that Patagonia is sponsoring Pattie to do all of these things. That if Pattie builds a brand on the name Patagonia and protects any part of that brand, then it's going to confuse everybody. And Patagonia, the clothing company, is the only one who has rights to that. That's where this is going to get a little messy, FYI. Patagonia supports advocacy and activism that promote the environment and inclusion in the outdoors, central to Patagonia's ostensible mission. For that reason, before Patagonia's activities and identity transformed into a commercial enterprise, Patagonia repeatedly communicated with Pattie Gonia and understood that the parties had reached an agreement about how that advocacy work might continue in a way that would not interfere with Patagonia's brand. basically we can both support the environment, but not but we need to keep our corporate things separate, the identities separate, which honestly makes sense for both of them, truly, to keep it all separate. But okay. Patagonia has not honored the agreement, however, and now seeks exclusive ownership of a Pattie Gonia trademark to commercialize products, endorsements, marketing campaigns, and advocacy. For all these reasons, Patagonia must protect its iconic trademarks even when it supports or agrees with Patagonia's views, message, or objectives. I'm going to start turning it to Patagonia and Patty. I promise it'll make it easier for all of us. Defendant's trademark application followed the launch of a commercial website, patagoniamerch.com, in late 2024, selling Patagonia branded apparel. The website looks like this today. Now, I am going to note that as of this morning, there is no merch available on Patty's website, probably because of this. So I'm okay. For me, looking at these shirts and things, if you asked me, if I knew none of these people and I knew nothing, and you showed me one of these shirts and you said, "What brand is it?" My honest instinct is gonna be, "Is it a drag queen?" I'm not gonna think that it's connected to the company. Maybe that's just me. I might immediately follow up with, "Are they connected? Are they working together?" But this does not use font or anything like that. I'm just gonna point that out. Moving on. The examples below show the extent to which Patty has associated the party's brands, integrating Patagonia's logo and branding into the Patty persona and related business enterprises. Now, if you saw Patty's video the other day, Patty contradicts this. Um, this is where discovery is very important. This is where, if discovery gets opened, we're going to find out exactly where the stickers are and what led to the stickers. We're going to find out all that back information because this is just Patagonia's allegations and shades. So they're going to pick anything that looks good for them to put in this complaint. They're going to leave out anything, um, anything at all that is not helpful to their complaint. Sorry. Um, we're going to pause here for one moment because it's a really good place to pause. If I disappear, I'm coming right back. Tech is teching. 1 second. Good heavens. It disappeared, my thing. I'm back, baby. I'm back. We will try a swoop and see if that helps. Um, see if it works this time. We will do that in a bit. I'm not testing anything else right now. All right, back to the lawsuit. So this is the cherry picked things that support Patagonia's complaint that Patty is using too many things. Okay. They go on to say consumers are already confused about whether Patty is affiliated with Patagonia. For example, consumers have made the following comments in response to Patty's social media posts. It looks like Patagonia has it together. I'll happily spend my money there. Last summer, former Patagonia CEO David Olson came through my coffee shop and he was so nice and complimented the boutique. Yep, if Patagonia ever fails, I'm going to cry. It's expensive, but their warranty is literally the best. I genuinely thought this was a Patagonia ad. I love you, Patagonia. You're amazing. Thank you for protecting our parks. So, confusion, positive confusion, but confusion nonetheless. And some of these may be autocorrect, like at least one of those. The very real thing that we have to keep in mind is that at least one of those may just be autocorrect. The others indicate confusion, but it's a very, very short sampling. So that's something to note. The complaint goes on to say Patagonia tried to work with Patty to avoid this outcome. In February 2022, when Hydro Flask was discussing a collaboration with Patty, Hydro Flask contacted Patagonia to ensure that Patagonia did not object to the proposed collaboration. The parties met and discussed restrictions on the use of Pattie Gonia to protect against confusion about the source of products or advocacy connected to Patty. Patty confirmed an understanding that she must refrain from selling. Here's one of the big allegations that will be noted in discovery. Patty confirmed an understanding that she must refrain from selling Patagonia branded products or using fonts or designs that copy or are substantially similar to Patagonia's logos. Ultimately, Patty ignored the agreement she had reached with Patagonia and began selling products under the Patagonia brand. In early 2025, after seeing Patty selling the Patty branded apparel on Patty's website, Patagonia again asked the defendants to stop commercial use of the Patty name and abide by the 2022 understanding. Within several months, this is where the shade comes into play, y'all. Within several months, Patty's actions confirmed that she did not intend to abide by the understanding that the parties reached in February 2022. Let me translate. Patagonia said, well, this is great. Love it. Don't like keep using the name, but don't do anything connected to that name. Sounds to me like a contradiction in requests, but maybe that's just me. I am very curious to see all of the emails. If there is an agreement, it should be in writing. And if they don't have it in writing, well, then they're not going to get real far with this. If they do have it in writing with signatures, this is a whole different ballgame. But if they don't have it in writing, if they just made an assumption, then legally, I think the court is probably going to err on Patty's side. So, some things to note. They go on to say, despite Patagonia's efforts to avoid this dispute, it is left with no choice but to seek relief from the court due to Patty's refusal to honor the parties' prior understandings, the commercialization of the Patty brand, the use of the brand on confusingly similar products and services, the services being hiking and awareness of climate change. Just that's my addition into this. Um, and Patty's use of Patagonia's logos, sorry. To prevent further damage to consumers, Patagonia and its brand, Patagonia Patagonia and its brand Patagonia further alleges as followed. Okay. That was a confusing sentence to me, sorry. All right. These are the things, as I understand it, that the defendant is going to have to answer to, and they're going to have to answer in court. The first part we're going to skip over: parties, jurisdiction, and venue. Let me summarize. Here are the parties: Patagonia, Win Wiley et al. Company, aka Pattie Gonia. And this is pretty much, we are in California, they are in California. It happens in California. We should do this in federal district court. Let me clarify that. They are in California. Patty is in Oregon. Therefore, federal court jurisdiction. Leah chiming in, it sounds like they had a 3-party deal with the water bottle and they want her to continue that between the two of them. Yep. Yep. I have to turn on the heater because I don't know, winter came back to Maine today. So anyway, jurisdiction and venue it should be in federal court because legal reasons based on where everybody lives. Factual allegations common to all claims. This is the things they are alleging, and this is the shade. This is the shady portion of, well, in addition to the shady portion, but these are the facts that everybody is going to argue about between the lawyers. So, Patagonia's history. Patagonia was founded in the late 1960s to design and sell climbing clothes and other active sportswear. The company adopted the brand Patagonia to differentiate a related business that designed and manufactured climbing gear and tools. Since at least 1973, the Patagonia brand has appeared on a multicolored label inspired by a silhouette of the jagged peaks of the Mount Fitzroy skyline, the P6 logo. In the 50 years since Patagonia's business started, the Patagonia brand and its P6 logo have become among the most identifiable brands in the world. This is also where they fluff themselves up. Patagonia's products now include a wide range of apparel products and equipment, including t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, and fleece, as well as technical products designed for climbing, skiing, and snowboarding, surfing, fly fishing, and trail running, which are sold around the world. In 2012, Patagonia launched Patagonia Provisions, a food business that promotes responsible sourcing and regenerative solutions in fisheries, agriculture, and land stewardship. Love all of that. As part of its long-standing commitment to the environment, Patagonia also produces books, films, and educational awareness materials that are distributed through bookstores and theaters, in addition to its website and social media channels. Patagonia has published books including Tools for Grassroots Activists and a second edition, Tools to Save Our Home Planet. Well done, attorneys, for dropping in advertisements, knowing everybody's going to be talking about this. A guide for effective environmental advocacy. And The Responsible Company, which chronicles Patagonia's approach to responsible business practices and corporate citizenship. How much you want to bet there's a chapter in there on how to do this responsibly? I now chat, should I go find the book? Should I go find the book and see how they do responsible corporate stuff? Let me know. Okay. They go on to say Patagonia's approach to nope. Patagonia's films, New Talk, documenting America's first climate displaced community, Public Trust, which explores the fight over America's public lands, and Artificial, spelled in a way that hurts my brain, which exposes the threats to river ecosystems from hatcheries and dams and the impacts of open fish farms. Patagonia has also produced Why Plastic, which investigates the apparel industry's dependence on plastics, as well as Damnation, which highlighted negative ecological climate aspects in dams. Why is this in here? Well, I think they've put all of that in there to say that they own the rights to do stuff like that, and Patty shouldn't be doing the social media stuff. This is my hunch. This is my speculation. We haven't gotten that far yet in the legal process. They go on to say, to further engage its community in activism, Patagonia launched Patagonia Action Works in 2018, a platform to connect the hundreds of nonprofits that receive grants from Patagonia each year. See more below, because of course they dropped that below. Did I silence my phone? Why would I silence my phone on a day when tech is fighting me? Sorry, guys. And where was I? With our community of activists who are looking for a place to connect with events, donate their skills and money, sign petitions. Since the platform was launched, more than 500,000 people have provided over 2 million actions to 3,000 organizations. In 2025, Patagonia co-founded Brands for Public Lands, which now includes 100 companies representing 62,000 employees across 28 states and more than $19.9 billion in revenue to amplify the voice of the outdoor industry against multiple attempts to roll back protections on federal public land. All great. Love it. Over the years, Patagonia has been recognized and honored for its business initiatives, including Sustainable Business Council's first ever Lifetime Achievement Award, the UNGlobal Climate Action Award, and B Lab's Best of the World B Corp Award. That could be another whole stream. They are not necessarily bad accolades to have, but I look at them a little more critically than some folks do, and I have my reasons for that. Going on to say in 1996, by the way, for a complaint to go through this much, this is how awesome we are, I'm already put off by this. This is a struggle for me to get through this part of the complaint because I am already annoyed. In 1996, with an increased awareness of the dangers of pesticide use and synthetic fertilizer, might start summarizing. Patagonia began exclusively using organic cotton. Great if you're doing it right. In 2017, Patagonia helped establish Regenerative Organic Certified Program, a holistic agriculture certification encompassing pasture-based animal welfare, fairness for farmers and workers, and robust requirements for soil health and land management. Cool. Love that. In spring of 2022, Patagonia released its first regenerative organic certified products. That is a tongue twister. Patagonia has also worked to remove virgin synthetic materials from its product line, and as of 2025, 93% of the polyester in its products is recycled, while 89% of the nylon is recycled. Beginning in 2025, all new Patagonia products are made without intentionally added PFAS. PFAS. Yeah, those. The bad chemicals. What's interesting to note here is for a good portion of their company, they weren't doing those things. That's the thing between those lines. They go on to say Patagonia was a founding member of the Fair Labor Association, which is an independent multi-stakeholder verification and training organization that audits apparel factories and now includes over 200 members. I personally would want to do more research on this particular thing. In 2014, Patagonia began partnering with Fair Trade USA, through which Patagonia pays a premium that goes directly to factory employees making its products. I've worked in too many places. Fair trade is good, but it's not as great as it is touted most of the time. Just pointing that out. Impacting more than 85,000 people in Patagonia's supply chain. Patagonia has paid $37 million in fair trade premiums to those making its products since the program began. Additionally, since 1985, what does it have to do with this person? I'm sure they'll get there, but I'm annoyed, and I'm getting increasingly annoyed. Additionally, since 1985, keep reading, Aurora, Patagonia has pledged 1% of sales to environmental groups to preserve and restore our natural environment, donating more than $250 million to date. I have questions. In 2002, Patagonia's founder, Yvon Chouinard, I'm probably saying his name wrong, my apologies, along with others, created a nonprofit called 1% for the Planet to encourage other businesses to do the same. Today, 1% for the Planet members have donated more than $820 million to as many as 4,400 eligible organizations that are fighting climate change. I have math questions. In 2012, Patagonia became one of California's first registered benefit corporations, ensuring Patagonia could codify into its corporate charter consideration of its workers, community, and the environment. I'm going to pause here to say, if you have worked at Patagonia, let me know. Let me know what they're like as a company. You can reach out to me privately, DM me. I'm curious if you are on the floor, if you are like bottom rung or even higher up, I have questions for you because you have the tea and I want the tea. So reach out. Let's chat. Let's chat. They go on to say, you know what? This is here we go. We're coming into the end of it. We can get through this together. In 2022, Patagonia's owners restructured the company by giving away all their stock to entities designed to do two things: put those assets to work fighting the climate crisis and protect the purpose and values of the company forever. The new owners of the company became the Patagonia Purpose Trust. I have more questions. Protecting the purpose and values of the company, and Hold Fast Collective, putting the stock and future profits to work fighting the climate and ecological crisis. Since this new structure was created, Hold Fast Collective has committed more than $180 million towards projects fighting the climate and ecological crises. Chat, let me know if you want me to do a little digging on these two trusts, because I have questions. And I may just reach out to some folks that I've worked with that might be able to help me with some answers. So that was a lot of puffing up of all the great things that they do. In theory, it will come back around later in the complaint. Patagonia's trademarks. We're going to skip over this because this is mostly visual and super duper legal. So this is all of their trademarks and all the things that they say people can't use. This is where we're going to get into the real legal of it all. Who filed what first, when, um, all of that, right? So this is the logo that uh that they mentioned, the logo and the font. Now, logo and font, yeah, that makes sense. That's what the company is using. Don't use it again. Um, but this is their logos. So, and we're going to skip over some of this part because this is mostly just like, this is our logo. This is why we're so distinctive. This is why you can't use, these are the things you can't do with them. And we already have that written into law. The Patagonia trademarks are distinctive, arbitrary, and fanciful. I feel like arbitrary is not the word they wanted to use there, but I could be wrong. Distinctive, arbitrary, and fanciful, entitled to the broadest scope of protection, and certain of the Patagonia trademarks are registered worldwide. That is no small cost, by the way, to register these trademarks worldwide. I'm a legal biller. Let me just tell you that is not a tiny cost. We will circle back to why that's important later. For many years before the use of Pattie or defendants' other related logos challenged in this complaint, Patagonia annually and continuously has spent enormous amounts of time, money, and effort advertising and promoting the products on which its Patagonia trademarks are used. As you do, Patagonia brand products are advertised and promoted through a variety of channels and media, including in print and on the internet. In addition to advertising by Patagonia, the Patagonia trademarks are also advertised and promoted and presented at point of sale by numerous authorized retailers. Consumers accordingly are exposed to the Patagonia trademarks in a wide range of shopping and post-sale contexts. In addition to media Patagonia earns from its commitment to environmental justice. I appreciate that they at least put it in there that they get a certain amount of marketing by giving back. It is part of the marketing budget. Let's be real. So this is, we sell all this stuff. We do all of the great things. I'm going to summarize this because it's a lot of legal. This is where it starts to get interesting. This is where we finally are at the allegations. Defendants' infringement of Patagonia's rights. Contrary to Pattie's 2022 commitment to respect Patagonia's trademark rights, and notwithstanding Patagonia's objections and warnings, Pattie has adopted and used Pattie Gonia, a nearly identical copy of Patagonia's Patagonia wordmark. Really? Okay. Yes and no. This is we're reaching, in my opinion. We're reaching. I'm not an attorney. It might not be as much of a reach as I think it is. A nearly identical copy of Patagonia's wordmark to identify defendants as the source of a wide range of products and services as outlined in defendants' trademark applications, including apparel, online marketing services, promoting public awareness of and motivational speaking services in support of environmental sustainability and LGBTQIA2S plus equality, organizing community sporting and cultural events, organizing, arranging, and conducting trail and hiking events, entertainment services in the nature of live musical performances and musical recordings. These uses of Patagonia brand inevitably imply to consumers that Patagonia clothing has endorsed or authorized these products and services. As expected, confusion has already occurred. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I never thought that the two were connected. I thought maybe they should work together, but I myself never thought that the two were connected. But that's just me. Um, it goes on to say that that the products and services are the result of a collaboration between the two brands. The Patty branded products and services are referenced in this complaint as defendants' Pattie Gonia products. Examples of the Patty products follow. I don't I mean, okay. If you just showed these to me, I wouldn't instantly assume they were from the Patagonia clothing company. I just wouldn't. I j I just none of these look like that to me. But maybe it's just I don't know. This one's a map of Patagonia. It is a place. This is where the complaint started to lose me. Um, Now this one, I have questions about this particular one because it does have that one does look branded to me. I have questions. I feel like I need more information about this particular picture because those gloves do look branded. I would never assume that this was the clothing company. The sticker on the left. I realize you can't see my mouse. But yeah. It goes on to say while defendants have only recently have A commercialized Patty as a brand and B promoted Patty apparel releases, including through PattieGoniaMerch.com. And C filed an application for the trademark at the Patent and Trademark Office. Patagonia first addressed this potential conflict in February 2022 when it was raised by Hydro Flask, which was then a potential Patty collaborator. At that time, as explained below, Patagonia shared concerns with Patty and reached an understanding that Patty would not commercialize the name as a brand. I need to know more about this understanding because, again, is it in writing? Was it a written agreement? If it was just, we say this and you don't get a reply, that's not an agreement. And that's going to be where we're going to need lawyers to parse this out. In early 2022, Patagonia learned that Patty was planning fundraising partnerships with outdoor accessory and apparel companies, Hydro Flask and the North Face, one of Patagonia's top competitors. Okay. Hydro Flask was concerned that Patagonia might view this type of promotional work under the Patty name as likely to confuse consumers about an association between Hydro Flask and Patagonia. I get why they were doing their due diligence. Hydro Flask consequently reached out to Patagonia to discuss the proposed collaboration. All three parties met. Patagonia explained Patagonia's need to protect the Patagonia trademarks, including while trying to leave space for Patty's fundraising in support of environmental causes, requiring that Patty refrain from using the term as a brand or source indicator in any collaborations or commercial activities. At the conclusion of these discussions, Patagonia and Patty reached an understanding memorialized in the emails. Chat, we have emails. We have emails. We have tea. Dated February 9th, 2022, February 10th, 2022, February 15th, 2022, and February 16th, 2022. Those emails with only some personal identifying information redacted are reproduced below. Okay, so these are things that will come into discovery. This is the tea. Let's look at this. Are we going to get names in here? Not necessarily. Some names will be redacted, but this is the tea. Okay, the first email says, "Hi all. Patty, thank you for the call today. I really appreciate the time and thoughtful conversation. Thank you for reaching out to us on this and for your patience as I worked through this on my end. Also, want to note that email is horrible for nuance and open conversation. So, if there's anything in here that comes off differently than our conversation, Patty, that is solely a failure in my drafting. Please let me know if something in here strikes you as different than our conversation, and let's discuss it." One, I appreciate this, but two, it also indicates to me that there was a misunderstanding when they were in person or in communication prior to meeting in person. The email goes on to say Patagonia has no objection to the relationship between Hydro Flask and Pattie Gonia, in particular, the work described in your email last week. But we do ask that the parties, one, not use or otherwise display Patagonia's logos, two, not use the Bellway font in the content that is created, including an example here, since somebody asked about this when I called him this afternoon. Three, not use Pattie Gonia in any form on product. That third one is a next to impossible ask of an entertainer / content creator. I'm just going to point that out. That third one is, they know it's next to impossible. So basically, don't use your name on anything to try and sell tickets for people to come see you and your name, but keep using your name. Okay. The email goes on to say, I hope the 3 points above give you a clear sense of where we are coming from and give you the confidence to move forward with your partnership and do great work together. If there are any questions as the work progresses, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Name redacted. The response email from Pattie and team says, Robert, redacted. Thank you all so much for your handling of this issue and for including us in the discussion. We really appreciate each of you so much. Cannot wait to get things going. Super excited. You know what I don't see in there? Any agreement. I do not see agreement. I think we have things missing, but that is my speculation. I think things have been cropped. The February 15th email from Patagonia. Hi all, one clarification / addition I should make to this regarding use of Patagonia's logos. Patagonia would ask that the parties not use Patagonia's logos or any substantially similar designs, italicized, like the mask meme logo we discussed. Pattie used that sorry, this is me reading badly. Mask meme logo we discussed Pattie that used the mountain silhouette and Bellway font. I think that's a reading comprehension issue on my part, but I couldn't tell you. That sentence hurt my brain. I think that additional language accurately reflects our conversations, and sorry for not being more clear in the first go at this. As before, I welcome any conversation / feedback. I just didn't want to leave my potential miscommunication hanging out there. Best. Reply email. Thank you for the clarification, Robert. Really appreciate it and keep note of it. Anybody else feel like we're missing emails? Because I feel like we're missing emails. I feel like there's parts of this thread that we do not have. That's what discovery is for. Despite the communications, we are leaving emails and going back to the complaint. Despite these communications, Patagonia is informed and believes that Patty registered the domain name PattieGoniaMerch.com in September 2024. Okay. Afterwards, Patagonia posted silk-screened apparel and products bearing the Patagonia brand. After discovering the Patty e-commerce store and related Patty products, including apparel and stickers, Patagonia wrote to remind Patty of the parties' agreement in 2022 and to explore resolution, ensuring that Patty would adhere to those commitments. Patagonia's email sent February 10th, 2025 is reproduced below, along with Patty's response sent February 14th, 2025. Patagonia's follow-up on March 12th, 2025, to which it received no response, is also reproduced below. More emails in really tiny font. Okay. Dear Patty, I hope you are well. It has been what it feels like a few lifetimes since we spoke in 2022. I'm writing you now because I saw the recent announcements about product sales of t shirts featuring Patagonia branding, as well as more sales of the stickers, including Patagonia's logo. I am writing somewhat more formally this time to stress again how important it is to Patagonia that Patty maintain their identity as a persona, but not to use that persona in connection with commercial sales or advertising of products. And so you can have a cool name that helps us, but don't sell anything. Don't brand yourself. Don't advertise who you are as an entertainer ever. Okay, sure. That's the request. Trademark law requires Patagonia to affirmatively protect its trademarks against all potential infringement, even where the company is aligned with the purpose and goals of Patty the persona. My takeaway from our conversation and email follow up from 2022 was that while Patagonia admires the climate work Patty does, Patty would, one, not use or display the logos. I'm paraphrasing this one because we already went through it. Two, not use the font. And three, not use Patagonia in any form on product. Number three is where we're stuck. The examples I've seen from social media posts include products that implicate each one of these points that I thought we had agreed upon. Okay. Patagonia remains supportive of your work, but must insist that the Patty persona must not be commercialized and to continue to adhere to the commitments made in 2022. Unfortunately, these latest product sales force Patagonia's hand, and so I'm asking that you discontinue sales of t-shirts and stickers or any product using Patagonia branding or designs substantially similar to Patagonia's logos. That shirt is not substantially similar to anything Patagonia puts out that I have ever seen. Okay. We hope we are able to work this out, so please call me if talking through this would be helpful. While I also appreciate that they want to talk through it, if that is a better form of communication, I am here for that. But also, it strikes me a little more like let's have a phone call about this where we don't then have a record and it's going to become what I said versus you said. That's the vibe I'm getting. It's my personal vibe from this particular email. So unless Discovery has a bunch of things like that where there are then follow-up emails saying per our conversation and a summary, I'm going to be looking at this a little more side-eyed myself. The reply email says, "Hi Rob, Patty here with my business partner Jenny, who you met on Zoom. Thanks for the email and the concern. What you shared in your previous email was incorrect. What we shared on our call 2022 was the following. Patagonia, the drag queen and environmentalist, is inspired by a region in South America. Same as the clothing company, FYI. It's wonderful that both Patagonia, the brand, and Pattie Gonia, the drag queen, are inspired by Patagonia's beauty. We also shared that any and all references to the brand Patagonia font or brand logo in association to Patagonia was done by a fan as fan art. Oh, really? Okay. We have never sold this fan art. They should have the receipts to back that up. And I'll bet you they do. The email goes on to say, bringing the conversation to today, the brand Patagonia's communication earlier this week was coincidental timing. We were actually just about to reach out to the brand Patagonia. We wanted to let the brand know that in light of what we are learning about Lost Arrow, we intend to avoid any perceived association with the brand Patagonia. Lost Arrow, under the brand Patagonia's ownership, developed and sold tactical and military gear to the U.S. government and police departments across the nation for years/decades. Bit blurry as we're still fielding information from former employees. Oh, there's tea. There is so much tea here. Beyond Lost Arrow's police and military business purpose, we are concerned about the clear cultural appropriation with the name Lost Arrow. Furthermore, the quick sale of the Lost Arrow division during the height, I think they meant to say, of Black Lives Matter, does not absolve the brand Patagonia. We were inspired to do this research after hearing the words of Patagonia brand communications director Corley Kenna in an interview with Your Public Value, where she mentions, quote, the consumers are there to hold you responsible to think beyond profit, end quote. Consumers have yet to hold the brand Patagonia responsible for not thinking beyond profit with the creation of Broken Arrow, which supports the very people and institutions destroying the planet. The U.S. military is, after all, the world's largest global polluter. I did not know that. And I trust the narrator on this one. I would fact check it, but I did not know that. It is a disconcerting fact for a company that claims to be, quote, in business to save our home planet, end quote. From here, we will not utilize any reference to the brand Patagonia's font and logo. Our upcycled t-shirts and sweatshirts and clothing merch is a moot point, as we have never and will never reference the brand Patagonia's logo or brand. Fonts we use have been one-of-a-kind custom text or purchase Kilimanjaro font. Furthermore, our merch is made out of clothing saved from landfills and screen printed with new designs. However, per the brand Patagonia's consideration, and to make sure there is absolutely no brand association between Patty and the brand Patagonia, we won't save any of the brand Patagonia's product we frequently find heading to landfills. Ooh, I think they might need aloe for that burn. In summary, there is plenty of room for us both to play in this play box. We trust the brand Patagonia will stay on their side and we will stay on ours. There's far more benefits to the brand Patagonia if our relationship remains neutral. They aren't wrong. Lastly, we understand positionality here and know you're doing your job, likely reaching out at the request of senior leadership, which you're more than welcome to share with them. You communicated with kindness and grace, and that is appreciated. Phew, are you a bit tired? We are too. So, kicking work aside, if you or your family would ever like tickets to a Patagonia show or some merch, we're happy to make that happen. Just say the word Patty and Jenny. Yep, yep. You try and be shady with a drag queen? Oh, honey. RuPaul's Drag Race has been on for too long for anybody in a C-suite to think that they can shade for shade with a drag queen unless they are at the drag queen's level. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. Now let's look at the response email. And mind you, this is what Patagonia has put in to help bolster their case. So far, I don't think they're helping their case. That might just be me. Hi, Patty and Jenny. Apologies, this has taken some time to respond. Let me translate. I had to stop yelling at my computer before I could type anything. I agree with you that we all benefit if our relationship remains at least neutral. Recognizing that my legal lens has its limits, I am adding Jonathan lawyers. They're adding lawyers. Sorry, this is very hard for me to read in the size that it is on my screen. To the conversation since Whitney is no longer at the company. Jonathan is our Director of Global Justice and Belonging. Corley is our Chief Impact and Communications Officer, who you quoted in your note. Hopefully, among this group, we can find a productive way forward. We are genuinely interested in it. There's no way I'm reading this in a neutral tone. Sorry. We are genuinely interested in at least having a neutral relationship, in particular at a moment when the threats to public lands are so acute. And we are happy to discuss Patagonia's government business that was discontinued 3 years ago. If you think there are valid concerns of the company about that business, then by all means, share that with your community. Oh, that feels like a bait statement. We do, however, seem to have different understandings of where we left things related to Patagonia's trademarks when this last came up. Is there a time next week when you'd be available to talk with us to see if we can find a way forward? Okay. Again, trying to shift it out of writing, which I find very interesting. Again, if they have an agreement and the agreement is signed, they should have the receipts. I'm guessing from those emails, there isn't an agreement. They just thought they put an end to it. Continuing on. While Patty's response stated that, quote, clothing merch is a moot point, end quote, Patty has restocked the Patty products at the merch and e-commerce store and has released additional products and Patty branded content. None of those emails said that you guys were on the same page. Sorry, none of them indicate that you all were in agreement. They all indicate that big company said, don't do the thing. Creator said, that's not something I'm signing up for. And they said, thanks for playing, and continued on thinking that they had won. That's what that read like to me. Let me know your thoughts. Continuing on, defendant and Entrepreneur Enterprises, DBA Pattie Gonia Productions, formally confirmed the intention to commercialize the Patty brand, contrary to the parties' 2022 understanding, by filing an application. That's the application number to register Pattie Gonia as a trademark for a wide array of goods. Okay, and services, many of which are already provided by Patagonia. I have more questions. Contradicting Patty's representation that she, quote, will not utilize any references to the brand Patagonia's font and logo, end quote. Pattie celebrated a milestone number of Instagram followers on October 5th, 2025 by displaying the copycat Pattie logo on gloves, replicating Patagonia's favorite P6 logo. I'm going to have questions about the gloves. I have questions. I have questions about that particular post and all of that. But it's public and we can see that. Okay. On November 22, 2025, Pattie attended an event hosted by Out Magazine. At this event, Pattie wore an outfit made from the transgender pride flag, featuring a replica of Patagonia's famous P6 logo with the Pattie trademark. Again, I have questions. I have questions about this. Mostly who's the dressmaker and what was said in and around that. What did the dressmaker say about it? I have questions. That's what Discovery is for. In a TED Talk address, Pattie exclaimed that many members of the audience were wearing, quote, my merch. She then proceeded to announce that Patagonia vests are indeed very TED drag. Are you offended? Are you offended, Patagonia? Because I don't know if you know your demographic. But okay. I find this particular bit funny in the complaint. Anyway, they go on to say that it's nearly identical. The logo on which Pattie Gonia has displayed the Pattie Gonia trademark is nearly identical to Patagonia's P6 logo. I have questions. I want to see that. You'll note they didn't include pictures of that anywhere in this document. They didn't include that. So I have questions. Because if it's just a picture of the place, that's going to get real dicey in court. Pattie's use of the trademark and promotion and sale of Pattie products has already caused confusion and will cause a likelihood of additional confusion. Okay. People think I am you and you are me and we are we. That's the long and short of that. Pattie began using the trademark long after the Patagonia trademarks became famous. Trademark and Pattie products are likely to dilute. This is what they're claiming to try and. This is their claims that they are going to have to prove, by the way. If they go to court, they're going to have to prove it. The Pattie trademark are likely to dilute Patagonia's famous and distinctive marks by diminishing their distinctiveness and singular association with Patagonia. This is where it's going to get real dicey. This feels like this is the point in the lawsuit, honestly, where it feels to me like they are writing this and doing this to set precedent. This feels like a setup so that they can try and take the name away from the place in a legal sense, or at least litigate more heavily things in and around the place of Patagonia. And that, I might be wrong. That's just what this feels like. This feels like a setup kind of a lawsuit. Maybe I'm wrong. Going back to the suit, no, Patagonia has no alternative. I'm skipping some things because we don't need that much legal. Patagonia has no alternative but to protect its goodwill and famous trademark by obtaining an injunction against Pattie's further use of the Pattie trademark and related designs. Hattie's transformation into a commercial enterprise is not the first that Patagonia has had to stop in order to protect its brand. These range from parties who, for example, have misused Patagonia's goodwill to sell products or services under Fratagonia, Catagonia, Patagonia designs, others offering Petrogonia, Gatagonia merchandise. Just a few examples are shown below, so let's look at this. These make sense to me. Honestly, this group, yeah, that makes sense to me for lawsuits. That is clearly playing on, well, potentially. I say potentially because we still have fair use and satire. So I have questions. Given Patty's failure to follow through on the limitations the parties had discussed, i.e., you're not allowed to use your brand in anything to make additional money. You can just be you, that's fine, but you can't be you and use your name on merch. That's where I think we're going to run into troubles in the court. But trademark law is super specific, so maybe not. It really depends on the legal code and precedent, honest to goodness. This is where it gets good. So, okay, given Patty's failure to follow through on the limitations the parties had discussed, working instead to develop and own trademarks for Pattie Enterprise, Patagonia believes that Pattie will not stop compromising Patagonia's famous brand unless defendants are restrained by the court. While Patagonia seeks only nominal monetary damages, we're going to talk about this, the harm Pattie has caused and will cause to the Patagonia brand is irreparable and cannot be remedied by money damages or other remedies short of an injunction. Unless Pattie is restrained by the court, Pattie will continue expanding and causing harms by, among other things, depriving Patagonia of control over how and to what purpose its trademark is used. That's not what's happening here, but okay, keep at it. 2, confusing and deceiving consumers about who is producing, sponsoring, or authoring Pattie products. That one might have legs. That one might get it into a courtroom. Causing the public to falsely associate Patagonia with Pattie and or the Pattie products. Girl, I think you just Streisanded yourself into boycott. That's what my corner of the internet is indicating. So maybe don't fight that. I don't know. Irreparably harming Patagonia's goodwill and compromising the capacity of Patagonia's famous trademarks to differentiate its products from those that others have created. I don't think that one's going anywhere. Irreparably harming Patagonia's licensing and collaboration programs and its ability to control its brand partnerships and associate itself with selected partners who are specifically aligned to Patagonia's company mission. And for all these reasons, Patagonia is entitled to injunctive relief against Pattie and to an order directing the USPTO to refuse registration of the Pattie trademark in all classes covered by the serial number. Okay, getting into the claims. Let me see if my refresh worked. Let me see if I can swoop, guys. Let me see if I can swoop. I probably can't, but let me see if I can swoop. No swoop. I tried. First claim, federal trademark infringement. Patagonia realleges and incorporates by reference each of the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 40 of this complaint. So all the crap we set up there, that again. Add to that, Pattie has used in connection with sale, offering for sale, distribution, advertising, blah, 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 trademark words and symbols that infringe on Patagonia's Patagonia trademarks. Pattie has also applied for trademark registration that, if the registration were allowed, would involve the use of the Pattie trademark on goods and services that would infringe on Patagonia's rights in its registered marks. Let me translate. She's not allowed to use her name on merch because we don't like it, because we think people, my pure speculation, because there are a couple of folks who don't like drag queens who are mad. This is my speculation. What else do they want? Oh, they say it's likely to cause confusion. They've said that before. I'm starting paraphrase. As direct and proximate result of Pattie's conduct, Patagonia is entitled, here's the key. This is the key that has been all over the internet. Okay. As direct and proximate result of Pattie's conduct, Patagonia is entitled to recover nominal damages in the amount of $1 and this is key, an award of attorney's fees. An award of attorney's fees. We're going to pause for a minute and I'm going to embiggen because what do I do for a living? Y'all know what I do for a living. I'm a legal biller and I have billed in this realm. So let me tell you what that roughly translates to. When Pattie goes out and she says they are suing her for effectively millions of dollars, that's not hyperbolic. It really could be that. First of all, because when they do the attorney's fees, filing fees, stuff like that, the discovery alone, so much of this is going to be incredibly expensive. And if they're suing for Pattie to then pay the attorney's fees, what's the natural human inclination? I'll tell you, it is, well, we're going to get it anyway from them. Oh, we're going to get it anyway from them. Especially if they're really confident attorneys. And I'm here for a really confident attorney, but be realistic as well. So, I'm going to track this because this is one of the few times where in a legal case, my area of expertise is in fact front and center, because what are they actually suing for? Not $1. Just this, the filing fee for this. So we are already at not including the time that the attorneys put into this, not including the initial consults, the initial time determining if the case is getting, if they should even file. This is simply from filing. The bill is already at minimum at approximately $451, and that is only the filing fee, if I read the filing fee correctly. But filing fees can range in the hundreds. If we want to take the attorney's time for drafting this, we're all the amount they're suing her for before she's even gotten attorneys and filed a response, we're already into 4 digits. And that number is going to go up fast. So when they say the nominal fee of $1 and attorney's fees, Also, there are things that could be considered attorney's fees that they could add into that invoice that maybe would not end up on the bill if the client was the one paying. So that doesn't happen all of the time. Um, I'm not even saying it's normal practice. It's certainly not where I work, but I have heard of it happening. I can't imagine. I mean, I am blessed. I work at a place that is weirdly wonderful in the legal world from top to bottom. So I'm just saying there are less ethical attorneys out there and less ethical firms out there that would have no issue padding an invoice in a lawsuit such as this. Don't know why everything with tech is wrong today. Okay, returning to this. This is claiming, so they're asking for that, and they are also asking Patagonia is entitled to injunctive relief pursuant to US code that requires Patty to stop the use of the Patagonia trademark and any other mark or design similar to the Patagonia trademarks. Any further action in pursuit of defendant's trademark application and to a directive to the USPTO that the application must be refused. So, okay, second claim federal unfair competition, false designation of origin, and false description. Same US code. Patty's conduct as alleged in this complaint constitutes the use of symbols or devices tending falsely to describe the Patagonia products within the meaning of US code. Patty's conduct is likely to cause confusion, blah, blah, blah. People will think we're connected. You've said that before. I'm getting to the other stuff. Patty also has applied for trademark registration that, if the registration were allowed, would involve the use of the trademark on goods and services in a manner that would likely cause confusion. As a direct and proximate result of Patty's conduct, Patagonia is entitled to recover nominal damages. Oh, we've asked for this twice now. Okay. Any other mark and designs similar to that? Where's the other stuff? I'm trying to look for the other stuff. Mostly this is just repeating things, and I am not enough of a law nerd to tell you if this is annoying to attorneys or not. So hopefully one of us will one of them will tell us on social media soon. Patagonia's trademark is distinctive and famous. Yes, it is. And was famous prior to Patty's adoption of the nearly identical trademark. This is going to get into some super nerdy trademark law. Patty's conduct and trademark application is likely to dilute the trademark. We've said that 9 million times. As to do the award. I'm skipping ahead because a lot of this is just repeats. And likely to cause not, they keep asking for the same thing. Without, okay. They do not, the long and short of this part is I'm translating here because it's easier than going through some of the legalese. But they're saying without the court, they can't make her stop and they need to make her stop. That's the without injunctive relief, continuing injury to its reputation and goodwill or that of its Patagonia trademarks. That's a thing they're gonna have to prove, and that's gonna be interesting oral arguments. I'm not gonna be able to see it because it's California and there's no court. It's federal court, 1, no cameras in the courtroom. 2, that. But we will be I am now hooked. I will be following this. So they're saying this is gonna keep harming us. That you have to put that in the document or the court's gonna throw it out. Nominal monetary damages. So it's a lot of the same stuff. All the things. Trademarks, confusion. Oh my God. Prayer for judgment. Prayer for judgment. There we go. This is what they want. This is where this is the part where they're saying this is what we want the court to do for us. A judge that the defendants have infringed Patagonia trademarks in violation of Patagonia's rights. Judge, will you tell them that we are right and they are wrong? That's the translation of that. That the defendants have infringed on the Patagonia trademarks in violation of California statutory law. They want the judge to say that they have caused problems based on the trademark thing. A judge that defendants have infringed on Patagonia's common law rights in the Patagonia trademarks. 4, a judge that if defendant's trademark application were allowed to register the goods and services Patagonia sells under the mark infringe on Patagonia's statutory and common law trademark rights. They want the judge to say that Patty can't sell anything with Pattie Gonia on it at all, ever, because it could be confused with clothing company. A judge that the defendants have competed unfairly with Patagonia in violation of Patagonia's rights. Your Honor, they're not playing fair. That's a weird thing to say, but okay. They have the unfair. A judge that defendants' activities and trademark application, if registered, are likely to dilute Patagonia's famous Patagonia trademarks in violation of Patagonia's rights under California law. 7, this one here, this is the one that is probably going to need the most discovery and scrutiny. Truly. A judge that defendants and their agents, employees, attorneys, successors, affiliates, and joint venturers, and any persons in active concert or participation with them, and any persons acting for, with, by, through, or under them, be enjoined and restrained at first during the pendency of this action, and thereafter permanently from manufacturing, producing, sourcing, importing, selling, offering for sale, distributing, advertising, or promoting any goods or services that display any words, this is key, any words or symbols that so resemble the Patagonia trademarks as to be likely to cause confusion, mistake, or deception on or in connection with any product that is not authorized by or for Patagonia, including, without limitation, any product or service that bears the Patagonia trademark or any other approximation of Patagonia's trademarks, using any word, term, name, symbol, device, or combination that causes or is likely to cause confusion, mistake, or deception as to the affiliation or association of defendants or their offerings with Patagonia, or as to the origin of the defendant's offerings, or any false designation of origin, false, misleading description or representation of fact, or any false or misleading advertising or likely dilution of the Patagonia trademark. First of all, that is a wild sentence to try and read. And second of all, all, anything that you ever thought of selling in remote connection to your persona as Pattie Gonia, they are asking that you not do it. You can still be Pattie Gonia, but don't tell anybody about it, is how I read this. And we're not done yet. Further infringing on the rights of Patagonia and to its Patagonia trademarks or otherwise damaging Patagonia's goodwill or business reputation. Further diluting the famous Patagonia trademarks, otherwise competing unfairly with Patagonia in any manner and continuing to perform in any manner whatsoever any of the other acts complained of in this complaint. All. Stop doing all the things that you did for 8 years to build your brand. Now that people know who you are, stop. Now, legally, this might be fair. Legally, they may have a case. I do not know enough about California Code and Federal Code 15 because I am not an attorney. I haven't even gone to law school. But the translation is basically all the stuff that you've done. This is why her store is down right now. Pattie's store is on lockdown at the moment, as it probably should be, because they have said while this is happening, don't do any of the things. Okay. Order, they want the registration to be refused. That would be standard. A judge, the defendants are prohibited from applying to register any trademark or service mark which is likely to be confused with or that dilutes the distinctive quality of Patagonia's Patagonia trademarks. This is where it's going to get dicey because, again, this feels like a setup to try and sue other people referencing Patagonia and the P6 mountain imagery. And I have issues with that. So, continuing on. They also want the defendants be required to immediately deliver to Patagonia's counsel their inventory of infringing products. This is key. I'm going to back up and I'm going to say this again because this is a key paragraph. A judge that the defendants be required to immediately to deliver to Patagonia's counsel their inventory of infringing products, including, without limitation, patches and any other products, packaging, labeling, advertising, and promotional material that are in their possession or subject to their control and that infringe on Patagonia's trademarks as alleged in this complaint. Translation: anything you have that you have already produced, you're going to turn it over to us. Now, when this gets to the point of agreement, I expect that we would see in the agreement, assuming that the company wins, right? Assuming that I want to see a clause in the agreement for what Patagonia, the clothing company, can and cannot do with everything that they just took. Because it's they want all of the inventory. And that is not a tiny thing. Okay. Carrying on, they want the defendants within 30 days after service of the court's judgment to be required to file with this court and serve upon Patagonia's counsel a written report under oath setting forth in detail how defendants have complied with the judgment and injunction. That's not really surprising. A judge that Patagonia recover the dollar plus attorney's fees. Judge that Patagonia be awarded its costs and disbursements incurred in connection with this action, including Patagonia's reasonable attorney's fees and investigative expenses. Okay, so they are asking that Patty pay all costs, all disbursements. That's a way too technical for me tonight, but costs are things like filing fees, FedExing something, that kind of thing. That is an expense that the firm has to take on whether or not anything happens, right? Whether or not anybody pays. Those are things that just have to happen. Remember when I said unethical attorneys there's a wider line than anybody that I know personally can walk in reasonable attorneys' fees and investigative expenses, because that's a fancy version of discovery, which, to translate it into normal people terms, getting the tea, finding shit out. The last thing they want is all other relief. This is also key. All other relief let me start again. Last time, I promise, we're almost done, guys. A judge that all such other relief be awarded to Patagonia as this court deems just and proper. You know what that opens up the door to? Punitive damages. Punitive damages. What are punitive damages? Punitive damages are the asshole tax. Punitive damages are you messed up, don't do this again. Punitive damages are, well, we learned in the Depp Heard trial, 5 million of fuck around and find out charges. That's what that is. So they have left that in there, as they should. I mean, like, from a basic standpoint, I have no real issues with the complaint. They filed it in January, so I am going to say that the claims that this was timed heading into Pride Month, I have more questions about myself. Here's why. This was filed at the end of January. This was filed, I think, January 21st of this year. Now, Patagonia, the company, did make a statement just a couple of days ago. So that is where they put a spotlight right on there, which is a little odd. So anyway, that is the complaint. That is where we are at. This is my reminder to you. If you do not watch Court for Fun, this is new. And it's a lawsuit. And the civil court moves slow. I mean, court in general moves like molasses in January in the middle of, well, a new ice age. Like, it is, the courts move slow. And given the administration and all of the changes that have been happening in federal court, it's moving slower than ever. So this is just the first piece. As of last night, I went looking for Pattie's response, and I do not see it yet. So there's a bunch of docketed items on there, but I do not see the response yet. I will keep an eye out for the response. Also, hi, are you an attorney? Can you help show me how to get some of these things? Because I want the actual documents, because I like facts, not just headlines. And for some of these things, I might need an attorney, an attorney mentor, something like that. Anyway, let me know if you're interested. Let me know where you fall. Let me know if this changed your mind or brought other things to light. Do you have more questions about everything? This is the clothing company's allegations. Okay? So this is the court. As this moves forward, the court has to take this document in the light most favorable to Patagonia, the clothing company, which means they have to assume that all of these things are true. And then we have to open discovery and we have to find out who has receipts. Dad is coming in saying he's got more questions. I think that's where we should be. I think that's where we should be with this. I have a lot more questions. I have a lot more questions. So, let me know if you want me to track this. I'm gonna be tracking this anyway, so let me know if you want me to track it with you, but we know I'm gonna nerd out about all of this. I wanna thank everybody. I know we're 2 hours in. I know this has been a hugely late stream for us tonight, but I wanted to go through the entire document. I didn't wanna just skip over everything. And because and it is because the internet is wilding out. So I'm also going to remind you, we don't go real world. We don't dox. We don't slide into people's DMs to leave insulting messages. If you're going to boycott quietly. I mean, you can say I'm boycotting Patagonia, but that can be your choice. I am not in any I don't shop there often enough for boycotting or not. Like, literally nothing in my life is gonna change. Why? Because I live in an LL Bean town, and they are technically my local business of the 2, so I lean local, and even with beans, they've had a lot of changes, and I know there's some things, but that's not a rabbit hole we're going down tonight. I'm just saying, I'm not gonna say whether or not I'd boycott them or not because I don't actually know, because I never shop there anyway. I don't know. I am not personally at a point of going, yes, boycott them. I am at a point of saying, I don't like how this smells, even in the light most favorable to them, even assuming that everything that they have said is the absolute truth and they have not hidden anything, which would go against every human nature I have ever encountered, myself included. But I am going to keep an eye on it, but don't get nasty. Lead with kindness. And this is a prime case where I'm going to say, based on some of the internet fighting I've seen, this is a case of lead with kindness, lead with respect. Do not just lead with insults. I know my chat is not going to do that anyway, but it's just my reminder to the internet, don't lead with insults. If you reach out to somebody directly, be respectful. That's how we roll over here, because this is a dicey thing. And as far as Pattie is concerned, aka Win, I cannot imagine what it feels like to build a brand for years and get this at exactly the moment that you're about to go bigger and do more with it. So it's big and it's scary, and they are a human being. So I want kindness for all involved until they indicate that they do not respect and don't earn it. I also have a lot of questions about the Patagonia C-suite, so let me know if you want to go down that rabbit hole. Leah's saying, if it weren't near LL Beans, REI is also better than Patagonia. Not an insult, just an opinion. I mean, that's the thing, is when you're an outdoorsy person, the people that I know of, I'm not an outdoorsy person. I'm camping for me is at a motel with a crappy pool. I'm a bougie bitch. So, um things like doing lots of things outside and hiking and stuff. No, I will take a flat walk with the dog. Thank you. But everybody I know who is super outdoorsy, like they are locked in. I don't know if I'm using that phrase right anymore. I don't know. I'm old. But they like land on a brand and become annoyingly loyal to that brand, which is great for that brand. Which is part of why we find ourselves in a lawsuit here, because when you get that loyal, like, I don't think this is a problem for the clothing company. But anyway, that's where we're at. That's where we're at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the very first item filed. So, will this be the first case we follow from first filing to the gavel sounding as the judgment comes down? It might be. It might be, 'cause I mean, unless it turns into a Baldoni Lively situation, at which point I will yeet myself from caring so quickly. But anyway, let me know. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm gonna keep an eye on this. If you spot a response before me, let me know. Tag me. I'm on Threads. I'm on Instagram. Let's see. Let's see. So, you guys have been amazing. This has been a super long stream, complete with all of the tech. I can't play an outro tonight because I don't have an outro. We're going to try, but it might just be a blank screen for a while. No idea, because tech hates me and a meteor fell just outside of Boston, which just seems to track for the week. So with that, you guys are great. I haven't done the like subscribe thing yet. But please do that. Please share this. Um, get the word out there. We're building a community. You guys are great. I'm gonna give the computers all a rest now. Have a great rest of your weekend. As always, be well, do good, and remember to bark a lot. And I will see you, hopefully with no tech issues, on the next one. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bark a Lot. Follow me on Threads and Insta at the Aurora H. White. That's where I post most frequently between shows. Hit that like button, connect with us, and remember to bark a lot. We will see you next time.